was it the acting, and I started becoming obsessed with all aspects of it, and then writing my own short stories all the time and just daydreaming in class, and it's really where the bug hit, I guess. And The Goonies was another big thing for me, because for the first time as a kid, I saw a movie where the kids actually spoke like I spoke, and it wasn't an adult interpretation of how they think kids speak. I think Chris Columbus' script for Goonies and for Gremlins, for that matter, were absolutely timeless and perfect. And those are really my idols, sort of getting into this. And then with horror, I mean, there's just nothing more fun than that. And going to the video store with my parents and just going through the horror section and seeing all these great covers with blood and hot chicks and monsters, and you just couldn't get enough of it.
Well, so okay, now I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I know you're probably really busy. But as far as your favorite film as a kid, I mean, other than E.T., I assume, what was your favorite horror movie?
My favorite horror movie, it's usually a tie between John Carpenter's Halloween and John Landis's An American Werewolf in London. Those were really my holy two growing up. I still think it's funny. There's a quote on the cover of the Hatchet Blu-ray from Gore Zone magazine that says the Holy Grail of slasher films, and I think that title is really for John Carpenter's Halloween. It's the smartest slasher movie that I think violent stalker killer, the mythology behind Michael Myers. I mean, just absolutely genius. And I've probably watched that movie more than anything else in my life. I can say every word backwards and forwards. And it's become my comfort food. Like when I'm sick, it's almost like chicken soup. Like I put that movie on to feel better. And John Landis' American Werewolf was one of the first times that I'd seen a horror movie that wasn't just pretension and trying to scare you the whole time. It was actually very funny, very well written, really well acted, yet it still had some of the best special effects that we've still ever seen.
Oh yeah, that werewolf transformation's
incredible, and it still holds up to this day. I was lucky to see a screening of it in London last year when the Blu-ray came out with a full audience, and just how effective it still is. It's a classic.
All right, well, according to Wiki, not that I believe everything I read, but it says you were once part of a metal band named Haddonfield, so I definitely know you have some serious ties to Halloween. So anything interesting ever happened there that may have made you say, well, okay, this is cool, but I still want to pursue the filmmaking? Were you still doing it at the same time?
Yeah, I was always in bands and always making movies, and at one point, like the first movie I ever made, first feature, was a movie called Coffee and Donuts that I did with my friends with stolen equipment from the cable company. We did it for like $400, and I wrote, directed, starred, shot, edited. I mean, I did everything. And that was the movie that launched my career because it won a film festival, and then Disney ended up buying it through Touchstone to turn into a sitcom that Tom Shadyac produced, and I wrote, and that was really my start. And when Coffee and Donuts started winning things, I kind of had to look at my situation and which one was I going to go with. And I will always side and bet on myself more than other people, because fortunately, looking at the band, even though we were starting to really take off and have some success, at least in the Boston area, looking at the other guys, it was like, I can't rely on them for a career. They were already getting very much into the fun of being in a band, and a little bit more so than the actual work that's involved with it. And so the decision was actually a pretty easy one to make, but I do still miss it. And every time I go to see a local band play or something, I get that itch, like, oh man, I would love to get back up there and do it again, but I don't even think I can sing anymore, because to sing in like a metal band like that, like it takes years of conditioning, and I mean to be able to scream and hit those high notes and all that stuff. And even now sometimes I'll just try it in the car, and like I've got nothing left, man. I'm no good anymore, so I guess I picked the right one.
All right, now I heard you talk about the remake thing, and that was going to be one of the questions I asked you, because for me, I just think, in my opinion, that it doesn't necessarily enhance the movie-going experience. Some do, some don't, but I feel like more often than not, it's just a cheap rip-off for a quick buck for some film studios, and then that is I think that hurts the genre. You have something that works so well. Now, granted, I liked Rob Zombie's reimagining of Halloween. I enjoyed it. But so if you had the opportunity to remake one movie, what would it be, and who would you cast as the lead?
Doug, you know what? I don't know. I really don't. I've been asked to meet on all of these remakes that have been coming up over the past few years. I've been offered some of them, but unfortunately, what you said at the beginning is the exact truth. It is a way to make a quick buck, and they'll admit it straight off the bat. They'll be like, "Look, this is a prepackaged title. There's an awareness behind this title, and we can stack it with these names and this guy from this TV show and this one from that, and that's how we're going to do it." And it's become a formula. And everybody loves to blame the studios for it, but I think the fans have to take a step back sometimes and realize that Hollywood is a business. And it's like a mathematical equation for them. And if something is doing well, then that's what they keep doing until it stops. And once it stops performing, then they frantically try to figure out what's next. There was a time 20, 30 years ago where these studios were run by producers and filmmakers and movie moguls who took pride in trying to prove that they knew how to find a good story and make a good picture. That's long gone now. It just all comes down to box office. So when you see a remake come out and it does well and it performs, there's 10 more behind it. And guys like me and guys like Paul Solit or Ty West, I mean, there's so many of us that are trying so hard to get these original movies made. It's next to impossible to do it anymore because nobody wants to finance them. And nothing to do on the quality. Like, our movies actually get good reviews. The remakes don't. But those are the ones that make money. So if the fans really, really are sick of remakes, they'll stop going. But they don't stop going, and that's the problem. I did a convention in Dallas, Texas. This was like 3 years ago. And I asked the audience, this was maybe like 1,600 people in this panel hall, I said, what do you guys think about the remakes? And everybody boozed, wearing their Evil Dead shirts and the whole thing. Yeah, it's really a remake. And I said, okay, who here just went to see The Hills Have Eyes 2 that just came out? And everybody raised their hand. And then I said, there's a movie called Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon, that's playing on 4 screens right now within 10 miles of this convention. Who's gone to see it? Not one. Not one hand. And that's the problem. So it's like, I'm starting to sound like a friggin' used car salesman sometimes, but like, if you really want original stuff, like, especially this opportunity with Hatchet 2 is huge. Not only is it original, but it's being released unrated in major theaters, which hasn't happened in a quarter of a century. Where are the fans going to be this weekend? Are they going to go out of their way to make sure they buy a ticket and support it, or are they going to go see whatever the remake is that's coming out this weekend or whatever else is coming up? I wish I could say with confidence that I know the fans have my back, but unfortunately it's a small percentage that actually put their money where their mouth is.
Well, I'm going to go see it. I'm looking forward to it. I liked the tongue-in-cheek element of the first one. I knew you weren't taking it so seriously, which brings me to my last question. I don't like to make people uncomfortable, okay? Hard questions are the ones people want answered, so here goes one that, some people don't like. But some critics feel the new era of slashers are really nothing more than torture porn. Films like Wolf Creek, TCM, The Beginning, both Hostel films, and the Hills remakes, they don't necessarily build tension as much as they make people uncomfortable. What's your feeling on that?
I agree. It's not that I don't like those movies. Like, I like all horror. I think there's room for all of it. However, it was funny that when I got named as part of the Flat Pack... Yeah,
that was odd, because I don't see you as that tight.
But it was because Hatchet was so bloody and gory. I think that's why I ended up being lumped in with that. And I'm very proud to be included with those directors, because I think they're some of the more important ones of this decade when we look back at it. But at the same time, my stuff is not mean-spirited. It's not depraved or sick, which is why this whole thing that the rating for it has had such a hard time with the Hatchet series is comical to me, because there's nothing in this that you can really take seriously. None of it could actually happen in real life, and even the gore that you see